Hey folks, it's Maxwell here and welcome to a brand new TW9 episode. We have finished Full Gear, it's in the rearview mirror, and we are on the road now to World's End, which means of course we are now in the midst of the Continental Classic. So to give you an idea what's going to go down, predominantly most of the Dynamites and Collisions for the next few weeks will focus on those matches with small little bits here and there towards obviously the rest of the card for World's End. Tonight, and on Collision, for the first week at least, we'll have the 6 competitors. We'll all get a promo each. They'll have an opportunity to state their case. And of course, we'll have those first round matches. The Dynamite brand will have everyone from Dynamite, ironically, on the show. And Collision will meet those people for Collision. So yeah, it might be a shorter episode, but we should get some banging matches with some high stakes. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the new era of AEW with, of course, your new World Champion, who won't be on this show, who won Collision, is of course Bryan Danielson. So sit back, let's do it. So it's the Gas South Arena that hosts this week's Dynamite, and we start off with the authority figure Scott D'Amore. This week is the Continental Classic opening week. We will see both groups' first set of matches. And he says, welcome to AEW Dynamite and welcome to the 2025 Continental Classic. Over the next 5 weeks, you will see wrestlers from both Dynamite and Collision battle to top their groups, with the winners fighting at AEW's World's End, with the Continental Classic and AEW Continental Championship being on the line. Lots of our roster will get a well-earned break before Christmas, but these 12 athletes will participate in at least 5 brutal matches, of course. That 6th match being for the championship. So it gives an idea that a couple of wrestlers will not really be showcased, they'll get a bit of a break, and it should be a good series. And yeah, just pretty much confirming over the evening, we'll hear from each athlete before their match, and likewise on Collision, we'll hear from the participants. So they'll be unveiled as the night goes on. So a 60 rated segment. First up, we had some good wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd. It saw Zack Sabre Jr. defeat Mike Bailey in 13-17 with a submission. Hurrah, another year, surely this. So these two put on a good one, 75 wrestling, 80 rated segment. Mike Bailey with 67, Zack Sabre Jr. with 83. The storyline that Sabre Jr. will be included in is advanced, and I got a storyline idea that boosted it. And these two had pretty good chemistry. But yeah, we're going to get behind that little Zack Sabre Jr. push. He's not been greatly pushed since he arrived here permanently here in AEW, but I've got something planned for World's End. And despite not really putting it in that promo with Scott D'Amore, this is effectively going to be a 4-way decider for Mercedes Moné's next opponent, and a decent matchup saw Athena defeat Hikaru Shida, Megan Bayne and Chris Statlander in 12-20 when Athena pinned Hikaru Shida with the top rope stunner. Made it storytelling as it was the weakest matchup of the evening. Shida was the best performer with a 77, Megan Bayne slowed down, so even with her new partner alongside her it wasn't to be the case, but obviously we'll hear more of that on Collision. But yeah, we're probably going to go pushing forward with Athena versus Mercedes, and that was a 74 segment. So first competitor in the Continental Classic on the Dynamite show is Switchblade Jay White, and he says, at Full Gear, I was so close to becoming the AEW International Championship, or becoming the champion, but unfortunately for me, the Collision Cowboy, Juice Robinson, made a grave mistake, and Walter got that lucky victory. So big man, I'll give you a little break from me as I enter the Continental Classic, a tournament I'm used to being in them because of being a prior G1 participant, so I know what is required to go the distance. You see, so far here in AEW, singles gold has somehow eluded me, but not for much longer, because bang, 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 down they all go as we rise and breathe with a Switchblade. So a 77 segment, Jay White is in the opening matchup, but who will his opponent be? It's going to be a former AEW TNT champion. He's a former ROH World Champion, and he says he has many championships won back in Mexico. He sees 5 men in his group that he can bully, and he says he will win more gold here in AEW, because if any of those guys mess with the bull, they get the horn. So an 83 segment opening contest, Jay White versus El Toro Blanco Rush. And they had a superb wrestling match with decent reaction from our audience. Rush defeats Jay White in 15:07 with a Rush driver. This matchup was designed to steal the show, and they certainly did that. A 92 for the wrestling, an 86 segment overall. Good chemistry together, which was nice to see. 94 for Jay White and 90 for the Rush. I am assuming a negative here would be because of both being heels. But cool, that's a good start. And Rush gets a nice 3 points. We then hear from, first off, Mark Briscoe, who talks about who he'll be facing. So, you're going to see Mark Briscoe and Swerve Strickland in this group as well. And Mark Briscoe says, full gear. So, for me to take out Will Ospreay and show the world why this is why all you bitches should be taking Mark Briscoe seriously. Now, I know that Will Ospreay's in my group, so there's another competitor. But let's not fool ourselves, that boy ain't fit to be here tonight, let him mind compete. But as for me and my match, well, it's against this little buddy, Swerve Strickland, and I'll keep this short and sweet for you, boy. You see you're the most dangerous man in AEW, well, just remember anything you're willing to do, I'm willing to do that a little bit sicker. So, we're really starting to get Briscoe over now, 85 for his segment, and of course, we'll have some words from Swerve. And he says, now after Sunday's epic battle against Takeshita, I'm a little banged up. It was a rough match, but I want championship gold. I want accolades. So this is why I put myself through this, just to do that. It's funny how Mark Briscoe's saying how dangerous he is. I mean, have you saw what I'm capable of? And put it this way, that's just so far. So come down to Swerve's house, Mark. Damn better kick that. Like that. I don't know what I've typed there. It was something about him being a farm anyway. It's a damn better nick in your barn, that's it. It's obviously saying that his house looks a lot nicer than Mark's farm. So we're 76 for this one. We are going to go Mark Briscoe versus Swerve Strickland in the second match of the Continental Classic here. And it was a decent wild brawl that saw Mark Briscoe defeat Swerve in 14:39 with the Froggy Bow. This one had a 71 wrestling and a 75 segment. Both guys had pretty good chemistry, which is good to see. Obviously, there's a long way to go with this Mark Briscoe push, which is why he only scores a 63. But hopefully matches this can help. It was a wild brawl, so that probably affects Swerve's performance as well. But yeah, solid stuff. Briscoe's 3 points. And the final man of the group is Darby Allin, the champion, the defending champion of the Continental Championship. For weeks, Kenny Omega continually dismissed me as an opponent. At Full Gear, he finally realised, don't look on Darby Allin. You see, I will die in this ring for AEW for you guys. For the rest of this year, this tournament takes place, this championship is on the line, and I will put my body on the line against 6 top wrestlers. 5 in my group, and then that one from the other one in the final. I believe myself, Kenny Omega didn't, and I hope that you guys will. So 71 for Darby. But we do hear from Will Ospreay, and he says, yeah, you didn't expect to see me here, did you? Well, guess what? Mark Briscoe didn't finish the job, and hey, I'll get my hands on Briscoe. We're in the same group. Mark boy, you'd have to break my legs before I didn't make it to this tournament. And I know tonight off the bat I've got a tricky opener against the champ and a man with a point to prove. Darby, others may have slandered you, but I know how good you are. And it's time for us to both keep raising the level. So let's fucking go, bruv. As he had in that famous promo. A 73 segment and the Ospreay Briscoe storyline advances. So your main event, Will Ospreay, Darby Allin. And in superb wrestling, great heat, Darby Allin defeats Will Ospreay in 23:44 with a surprise cradle. 86 for the wrestling, 77 for the crowd. 81 segment, Darby brought an 80, Will brought a 92. The negative here is going to be obviously both baby faces and obviously the physical condition, which is probably only getting worse as the tournament continues on. So, show increased our popularity in 12 regions. I think it was okay. It was a nice wee introduction. We obviously need to move more storylines around the card, but there's a lot of things to try and cover. I think it was just important to get the introductions each wrestler, hear what they have to say. So that will probably, as I say, take substance on the collision before we kind of work on the few weeks after it. And it's just going to be getting those other stories across. So that was Dynamite. What are Saturday nights for? They're for fighting. Let's do it. So Collision will pretty much run a similar theme to Dynamite. Each participating wrestler in the Continental Classic will get a promo before their opening match this evening. There's some stuff where I kind of wish I put a kind of storyline towards it, or a little segment, even though this one is meant to be a TBS contenders match. But we start off the show with a nice little 4-way between some of our key women's athletes. It was about to have some decent wrestling, but didn't have much heat. I had Mayu Yamashita defeat Queen Aminata, Serena Deeb, and Izumi in 11-12 when Yamashita pinned Serena with the Crash Rabbit Heat. So this was one where it's women that are all, I would say, technically very good. They maybe lack a lot of popularity, but that's something we can work on. In terms of their in-ring performance, pretty much Yamashita stole the show with 75, so that's good. But again, where we're at, the other ladies, Aminata, Deeb, and Izumi, having 66, 61, and 66 respectively, is pretty good. And that led to 67 for the wrestling and a 72 segment overall. So considering this is not our main echelon of women, I'm quite pleased with this one. And yeah, we'll see a wee push for Yamashita going forward. Next up, extremely short matchup. We had Cedric Alexander approaches that he wanted to have a spot in the show. So I thought, well, this links up to something. So extremely short matchup though. He done the job and duties for Powerhouse Hobbs in 326. He went to a frog splash and I made the storytelling. 58 wrestling, 58 segment, Hobbs with a 64 performance. Doubt I'll bring Cedric in at this point. There's no real plans to do so or idea to do so. But yeah, he approached us and yeah, he got hurt. So we have some words from Powerhouse Hobbs after it says, so I find that, I've put money instead of funny, that this guy's decided to show up here considering, you know, like the others here, I hurt people. Never forget that alongside Bobby Lashley, Shelton Benjamin and MVP, that I, Powerhouse Hobbs, am part of the Hurt Syndicate. And AEW, beyond notice. So I've obviously moved him apart on the roster, but he is technically still part of the Hurt Syndicate. I think because I had so many wrestlers that were basically champions, so I had to float about, and some contenders were on the wrong show. There is some that have kind of get split up, so we'll probably move back to putting Hobbs with the Hurt Syndicate, but nice wee chance to get him over. It's kind of like going to be like a soft reset in January, just making sure everybody's where they should be after we do the Classic. Next up was a decent matchup, Ricky Starks and Wardlow. Defeat Top Flight in 9:34 when Wardlow pinned Darius Martin with the Powerbomb Symphony. 67 wrestling here and a 71 segment. The background storyline advances but lost heat. And in terms of performances, you can see pretty similar. I think obviously Wardlow and Starks have more with popularity. Danny and Darius is more technical based, or at least skill set based. Darius the main man with a 71. This leads to some words from MGF. And he says, you see, I find it extremely funny that you dorks were shocked by what took place on Sunday night. When I, alongside my good buddies, Wardlow and Ricky Starks, done what we set out to do and beat Hangman Page, what a loser by the way, and the Young Bucks. But anyway, moving on, we see ourselves as not just the present of AEW but also the future. Many years from now you'll be watching sold out marquee main events with their names on it, and we thought, well, who else fits that criteria? Why, Wheeler Yuta. So why Yuta? You see, Yuta could sit tight, he could fight and get beaten down by the Death Riders, but tell me, where are those guys going to be in 5-10 years? Where will we be? Where will Yuta be? That's right here. So us four, alongside our mentor William Regal, will see out 2025, and then in 2026 we really begin to kick on for gold. So explaining why Yuta leaves the Death Riders, but has aligned alongside MGF, Ricky Starks, and Wardlow. So 61 segment here, backbone storyline advances but lost heat. MGF was the star, Yuta didn't look good, but again, it's never really been a strong suit, and hopefully alongside MGF, he can improve on that. So we start off with our first promo for the Continental Classic, and it is going to be Sami Zayn, who will be facing Eddie Kingston in his opening match. And he said, it's been a 50-50 time here since I joined AEW, and maybe, just maybe that's my fault. I maybe underestimated the level of competition here. You see, I was taken to my limit by both Swerve Strickland and Takeshita, both fantastic athletes. And now I've got 5 matches to help get myself on the right road, and tonight that starts with Eddie Kingston. So AEX, I admit there's a lot I've brought in where it's just get them in, and then the storylines have not really been there. So we can work on that. And then we hear from Eddie, who says, here we go, another round in the Continental Classic. I was the first winner of this, and I know what it takes. Some people turn up here, they give it their all, some just coast, and they get their ass beat. Now Sammy, I know how close you are at times to Claudio, and you know what I'm like with Claudio, so don't bullshit me, don't underestimate me, or I'm just going to kick your ass all over this place. Time to fight. So Eddie's not impressed by Sammy, These two will lock up in our first Continental matchup on Collision. Good Wild Brawl. Eddie defeats Sammy in 15:26 with a back fist to the future. So 75 for the wrestling, 72 crowd, 76 for the segment. A Wild Brawl obviously is going to suit Eddie's skill set. It's not going to particularly work with Sammy's, but I think it ties into the idea, obviously, Eddie's come off a great victory over Mox, and Sammy's obviously kind of still trying to find his feet here in All Elite Wrestling. We then hear from Claudio Castagnoli, who's going to be the next person in the Continental Classic on the Collision brand, obviously moving over from Dynamite. And here's some words for Eddie, despite that not being his matchup, at least at this point. He says, unfortunately, at Full Gear, we saw the end of the Death Riders. I don't agree with it, but it was a stipulation that was made. I now enter in the Continental Classic, and Eddie, I know you're in this section, so when the time is right, I'm going to give you a beating worthy of the Death Riders. So simple and effective, 63 segment. His opponent will be the Protostar, or the soon-to-be-named Protostar Kyle Fletcher. And he says, so, on Sunday I finally shed myself of that deadweight Mark Davis, and it's truly time for me to shine on my own. And what better way to do that than by winning the Continental Classic? Watch out, a star is about to be born. So 72 for Kyle Fletcher's promo. This storyline advances in Lost Heat. Matchup had superb wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd. Kyle Fletcher defeats Claudio Castagnoli in 14:08 with a Grimstone. This was a steal the show matchup. I'm actually really delighted to see these two had great chemistry. That was not expected. So I think if we take away the steal the show and we add a bit of time to that, you maybe get a wee bit more of a rating. Because obviously you can get up to whatever time and you need to lose the steal the show under 15 minutes. But yeah, Claudio does the job. Former AEW World Champion puts over the future Kyle Fletcher here. 81 for Kyle. 81 for Claudio, 88 for Kyle. So yeah, that's nice to know. It could be. Well, the thing is as well, you have to remember these are two heels, so you're going to lose some segment points for that as well. So yeah, what else did Bill lose on? Short match length, heel, both inconsistencies. Claudio's physical. That's fine. This tournament's certainly not going to help him. We hear from Don Callis, who is with his client Kennosuke Takeshita, also entering the Continental Classic. And he says, banger match after banger match after banger match. That, ladies and gentlemen, is what Kennosuke Takeshita is all about. He's blessing you people with it, and he will be doing 6 more times this year. He will be having 5 victories in this group, and then 1 when he wins the Continental Classic and the Continental Championship at World's End. This man is the alpha. This man has beaten many a top wrestler in this company that it has to offer, and now it's time for more gold. So 81 segment for Don Callis and Takeshita. His opponent is going to be the former champion Okada. And he says, last year I won the Continental Classic, so both previous winners are in the tournament. And I was the Continental Champion for just under 1 year. For 160 days I was the AEW World Champion until last week. I win tournaments, I win championships, and I will win the Continental Classic again. I will win the Continental Championship again, and then I will win back my AEW World Championship. So 81 for Okada. Okada versus Takeshita main events. And it is in 83. So they lost a lot of points because of obviously being heel versus heel. But about to have superb wrestling and great heat. Okada over Takeshita in 2032 with the Rainmaker. Okada brought a 94, Takeshita brought an 89. The wrestling was a 91. The crowd was into it. This segment being an 83. So I think you lose a lot of points because obviously heel versus heel. I think if you've got a hot storyline as well, you probably get a bit more points. And you'd maybe even see that into the 90s quite convincingly if you make it an epic or a spectacle. But a Continental Classic, you don't want to make them all amazing. And Okada's physical condition, well, that's not going to improve in this tournament. So overall, 82. Fans were disappointed that more storylines weren't furthered. I'm not going to lie, I had ran a wee bit behind, so didn't amend any storylines, so I do need to work on that one. And obviously, Oceana's not really covering Collision, which I don't mind. We're at this save because we're pretty much where we need to be in terms of size anyway, so it's no overly popularity growth isn't really necessary anymore. That achievement is completed, but we'll go through to the main screen. We'll have a wee look at the groups and we'll see obviously what matches there is. I need to make sure that I don't get the round robin incorrect and have people like a match behind, which I know I'm going to make a mistake at one point because I've done it in my offline save. Thankfully I booked that Continental Classic and I'm a wee bit ahead now, so storylines don't mesh. But yeah, quite happy with that one. I know we've just had a pay-per-view, you would just not obviously not your world champion on the show, your new world champion. But I think you can utilise that next week and say, right, well, for the week to rest, thank Tony Khan, etc. And you can start Brian's new programme. But I think it was vital, very vital to get the Classic underway. And there's a few hints there into matches that will be taking place going forward at World's End. So yeah, let's jump into the main screen and see what is happening after a wee quick look at the locker room incidents. Nothing. Let's jump there. So as you can see, there is a confirmation finally that Scorpio Sky has departed, ironically. Check Collision this week in real life. Something different happens. But he's gone. Apart from that, there wasn't really too much here that really stood out or shocked me. Wade Barrett's re-signed with WWE has won. Griff Garrison has won the ROH television title, defeating Lance Archer. As I say, just so many talents down in ROH just to help develop them effectively. Or in the case of Lance Archer, just help develop talents. With the other Billington boy, Mark Billington, getting a bit frustrated. Might bring him in at one point actually, team him up with Tommy on Ring of Honor. But overall, a pretty quiet week. In terms of mail for us, so obviously confirmation of Scorpio Sky and Stu Bennett. We have put in a deal again for Lyra Valkyrie. So basically we had her signed at the start. There was some issues that confused me with the contract. She refused to speak to us when that contract would released her because we thought we weren't getting her. But it turns out we would have. She's finally, a year later, going to happy to speak to us. So yeah, we are pretty much going to conclude that as a confirmed deal in the upcoming days. TNA, you've got no chance in this situation. Collision itself got 1.3 million rating, 1.2 million viewers. Shockwave 3.1. Obviously just telling us about that Cedric Alexander deal. So we'll check a few things. First off is tournaments. In case there's any spoilers for potential debuts there. But you can see their Group A on Collision. So Okada, Eddie Kingston and Kyle Fletcher all have 1 win each. Takeshita, Sami Zayn and Claudio don't, but I mean that's going to bring up some really exciting matchups. And on Dynamite, Rush, Mark Briscoe and Darby Allin all have a win. And you get like a Jay White, Swerve Strickland and Will Ospreay with nothing. It's just an incredible group. I'm really looking forward to booking it, and hopefully we can build some stars out of it and really give us a properly deep main event pool going forward. Because you think of the people that aren't in that: Kenny Omega, Bryan Danielson, just to name 2, Jon Moxley, Hangman Adam Page. There's a lot of big names at MJF that's not in it, and I was considering MJF to try and help develop his technical stats. So there's a good few things I can look to improve on. Well, not really improve on, but I think I always need to improve and stuff. But in terms of like storylines, we'll speak to Bryan Danielson. We'll have his thoughts as the new champion. Of course, we need to talk about the debut at Full Gear, which of course was Gianna Daddio. Again, that took a back seat to allow the Continental Classic to kind of flourish. So we'll finish off with the roundup of the B shows. Rampage had Samoa Joe defeat the Butcher on a 65. His promo was an 86, because obviously we've got an idea where we're going with that one. Anna Jay over Thunder Rosa was a 49. With an angle with Hook was a 71. Masha Slamovich over Arisa Nakajima was a 55. We had some words from Big Billy Starks and Athena, which was a 67. And your tag team champions Ricochet and Ua defeated the Time Splitters, of course, Kushida and Alex Shelley, in an 80 rated matchup. So 79 overall, pretty solid, because obviously a lot of the main talents that would be on Dynamite get pushed to Rampage. And the same with Shockwave, with an opening angle between Adam Cole and Kip Sabian. They were obviously, we're really trying to get the character stuff of Cole over. We're trying to get everything over, because I agree with him so much, but I just feel like it's the same as real life. There's just something not there that he needs. And I feel like the stats in the game are absolutely perfect in that respect, and I feel like I need to try and help develop them. So I'm absolutely fine with them. We just need to try to push Cole down people's throats, I think. We had Rio and Takuma Aroha defeat Emi Sakura and Camille, which was a 73. Nice promo from Anthony Bowens with 74. Anna Jay had some words as well, which is a 56. Again, with these younger talents, just giving them as much time as possible, try to get their entertainment skills up and their charisma. Elijah was in a one-off appearance, so he dropped out to Orange Cassidy in a 74. Orange Cassidy, thumbs up, 88. With Billy Starks defeat Alex Windsor, which was a 67. With the Max Caster Open Challenge, which was a 71, he lost to Johnny Gargano in a 61. They two didn't click, that's why the rating was quite poor. Words from Gargano was only a 58 before a technical masterclass main event of Daniel Garcia and Sammy Guevara defeating the grizzled young veterans in at 79. So overall, I'm happy we've got the Continental Classic up and running. Disappointing my video wasn't in time, but honestly that was more so because I completely lost the day because I went work, home, dinner, shower, sleep, and slept 11 hours. And yeah, I had TW loaded the whole time, which was hilarious because I was ready to book and I was too tired. But yeah, we can kick on with that one. As I say, a few programs are underway that I've kind of alluded to or hinted to, and more storyline stuff will progress as the weeks go on because we've got a lot of storylines to keep up and of course some new fresh ones to begin. So if you enjoyed it, a wee thumbs up would be deeply appreciated. As always, thank you for watching, it's much appreciated. And check out the Fantasy Booker subreddit, Grey Dog Software Forums, twdb.com and bethebooker.net. As I say, you'll always get the patches on the Grey Dog Software Forums. You get a lot of fantastic written content there, even just looking for like the general discussion and stuff like that. You pick up stuff in the game. I'm still learning off people. There's some people that do like mental 20-year saves, which is such a fun read, seeing their champions change over time. BeTheBooker.net, you'll obviously get, in TWDB, you'll get a lot of stuff in terms of just mod packs, graphics, etc. And the Fantasy Booker subreddit, you get again a lot of written discussion. You get a lot of people's videos and content there. It's always a good place if you want to see other YouTubers. So there's a lot there. And yeah, just general help on the game. And the occasional guy that's talking about their graphic novel that seems to have a fantasy element and have realised they're on the wrong subreddit, which is always a nice wee laugh. But as always, much appreciate it. Take it easy, and hope I'll see you in a couple of days for the second week of the Continental Classic and as we enter December 2025. Bye bye.